Hello everyone, how are we all doing? Today I'm going to show you how to get spacey sounding background vocals that really fit nicely behind your mix and complement everything, makes everything sound really nice. So let me go ahead and show you the two major things that get you spacey background vocals, which of course would be number one, the delay. So I add two delays on the background vocal bus. And one thing that you should be aware of whenever mixing background vocals, you're allowed to turn up all the special effect plugins probably like 1/4 higher than what you would normally do. So one thing I should mention about mixing background vocals, when it comes to special effect plugins like delay and reverb, you are able to turn up those plugins a little bit louder in the mix because it just sounds better like that, since the background vocals are already sitting at such a low level in the mix compared to the lead vocals. We want to make sure we actually hear those special effect plugins to get them to sound really nice. So how I do that, I divide everything up between two plugins for the reverb and the delay. Just like how I talked about in the other video, I have a longer sounding delay and I have a smaller sounding delay, and I cut the frequency off by both of them a little bit, 83% on this one, 83% on that one. The reason why you want to do that is to make sure you're not getting too much high end from the delay, which will really overpower your lead vocals, make the delay sound bad. It just won't sound professional or like industry standard. But still, even after you do that, it still won't sound right. And the reason why is because your delay is sitting in the center of the stereo image, and there's two things that we can do to kind of get this delay to space out. The first thing we can do, we can hard pan both delays to the right or to the left, or you can like 50% pan it to the right or to the left, or you can use this little offsetting knob right here, which kind of does the same thing but not really. So let me explain it to you like this. If we were to pan these delays, one delay would specifically be on one side of the stereo image and the other delay would be specifically on that side of the stereo image. What offsetting does, it allows your delay to kind of jump back and forth between both sides on the stereo image, between how much you adjust this knob right here. So it's kind of like a ping pong effect between the stereo image, and it's really nice. I really enjoy using it. But yeah, this offsetting knob, I use it at 1.5 milliseconds to the left, the other offsetting knob 1.5 milliseconds to the right on the other delay. So for my reverbs over here, for the first reverb, just like how we talked about in the other video, I have a wider sounding reverb and I have a smaller sounding reverb. So what this does, whenever you have a wider reverb, it'll really give you that depth and that space that you need from your reverb. But when you come over there and add that smaller sounding, that narrower sounding reverb, it'll kind of just give your reverb presence. So when you add this depth, this width, and this presence to your reverb, it creates a nice full-bodied reverb that really complements the vocals nicely on whichever vocals you put it on. It doesn't matter if it's background vocals or if it's lead vocals. That's why I always try to use two reverbs, especially since reverb is like one of the most important parts of getting a mix to actually sound good and getting it to sound warm and like something that people will actually want to listen to. That's why I always try to make sure I take extra care of my reverb. And when you're doing these reverbs, always be sure to get your frequencies under control for the reverb EQ. I do that by taking out the low end with the high pass filter, and I take out the high end with a low pass filter, and I boost up the low mid range a little bit, make sure my wet knob is turned all the way up. And that's essentially all I do on both of these. If you're looking for ways to get smaller sounding reverbs, I mean, because it's really easy to get a wide sounding reverb, but if you're interested in learning how to get a smaller sounding reverb, all you really need to do is just play around with the plate, play around with the reflections a little bit. You won't need too much hall, honestly. It's mainly just going to be a plate and reflections. And if you actually don't know how to get a wider sounding reverb, a lot of hall, a little bit of plate, a lot of reflections, that will give you a nice wide sounding reverb. And always make sure it gets turned up 100% over here in the mix. For the wet knob, the wet dry knob, make sure it's always turned up to 100% so you can turn that down in the mix, have everything get blended together nicely. So let's come over here. I'm going to show you how my background vocals sound.
Even when I die, and oh no, I've been fitted all night, moving so slow. I've been fitted all night, moving so.
But alright Alright everyone, if you're interested in learning how to mix your vocals with stock VSTs inside FL Studio, hit the link in my description and I'll give you a detailed step-by-step guide which I can ensure will 5 times the speed in which you progress. If you got a lot of value out of this video everyone, make sure you hit like, hit subscribe. I'll catch you all in the next video.